I'm good at reading.
Alright.
Who is this Reverend fella? I don't know. He seems to be pretty bad at Pokemon. No, sorry.
I'm only worse than 25 other people. And that's like pretty good.
You know what? You're not wrong.
It's a
lot of
sample
people play
size.
Pokemon.
Wait,
Yeah.
bro, have you won a match yet?
No,
he hasn't.
No.
Congrats on inviting the 25 best Draft League players in the whole world.
I'm glad that you can all come together.
Hey kids, these are highlights from the first couple of 3 weeks of Revcord Draft League, or 4. Revcord Access is currently one of my Patreon rewards. Some people are probably not going to be happy about that, but I do want to keep it small enough where I can feasibly interact with everybody. And also, I'm a something awful soldier, so you'll get no sympathy from me. This will probably be the only time you'll have to hear me plug this. And thank you to all the beautiful people who have already put money in the collection plate. I'm gonna spend it on drugs. Anyway, here are the Revcord Draft League. Hi. First up, we have Dust's Hedge Fund Haunters versus Wario Land 4's Wario Muscles. We really let Dust draft this whole Quark Drive team with Tapu Koko. And they even have a Regieleki too. It was just on the toilet for this game. It ate some bad mayonnaise at Subway. So Dust kinda opens this team up early with Quark Drive boosted, Choice banded Iron Hands in Trick Room, absolutely whooping the double Dawn core of Gastrodon and Hippodon. And then later in the game, Boots 4 attacks Iron Jugulus lures out the Weavile, which gives a prime opportunity for Spiritomb to just do it again, and Trick Room Memento into Iron Hands, who is then able to survive the double priority from Mega Metacham even after the close combat debuff. And then Iron Moth just cleans up. Pretty good stuff, but I am gonna have to dock you some points for no nicknames, so here, let me just do this real quick. Sienna's new Bedrock Supplicants versus Darkix's Primal Preds. I really hope it's Darkix and not Darky X. I probably should have asked you before I started making this video. Anyway, she drafted a pretty fucking brutal Volturn team featuring Mega Beedrill, which is pretty hype. But the real payoff is Sneasler, which I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. None of us knew how good any of the Hisuian Pokemon were. Like, no idea whatsoever. And we even forgot to rank most of them at first until people just pointed them out. Except for Hisuian Quillfish. That was like the first one anyone brought up. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, hey, did you guys rank Hisuian Quillfish yet? And I was like, what do you mean like Overquill? And they were like, no, Hisuian Quillfish. It's pretty good. So thank God we got that one squared away. I think that every turn a Hisuian Pokemon has been out has been a fun little surprise for everybody, learning what their moves do, and that they're all fucking ROM hack moves, apparently, and also that Sneasler is just the best Pokemon in the game. Casual 53% to a Fairy type, over half to Corviknight, whatever, it's fine. It got Destiny bonded at the end, it wasn't alive. Easy counterplay. Fractal Magpie's Sevi Island Smolivs versus Reverend's Kingsport Kaijus. Whoa, Reverend? Like from internet? Let's see how such a fierce competitor shakes up the competition.
No, you can't do that.
So I drafted Earthworm Screens, but don't worry, I karmically paid for it. every single goddamn week. The Landorus taunt was the moment where it dawned on me that, like, oh yeah, they're gonna look at my team too. And it only went downhill for me from there. The choice band Volcanion baits a setup opportunity from the allegedly Mega Gyarados, and then also goes on to kill like half my other Pokemon too. I failed to consider that this legendary beast has an attack stat surpassing even Krabby. That was Max Fizdef Orthworm too, by the way. But what luck, they have foolishly switched in their Cobalion. I will capitalize on this setup opportunity by clicking Swords Dance. Drew's Rain Man Legends versus Chloe's Manitoba Mousehold. Drew drafted Rain. Drew drafted every Rain team, and so far has failed to bring any of their tier 4 or 5 Pokemon to a single game. Gee, I wonder why. Greninja picks up a Specs Hydro Pump kill on the Mega Scizor, activates the Battle Bond, and then immediately has to leave due to the presence of a single specially defensive Pokemon on Chloe's team. When we were first making the tiering document, some people were talking about banning Ash Greninja, and I had to be the one to break it to everybody that Ash Greninja is in maximum security gamer prison, and is the only Pokemon dexited even in NatDex. And Florges, of course, proceeds to get 6 Calm Mind boosts because Wish still has an absolutely extravagant 16 PP. My lord, she's like 5 genies. And 1 more genie. But that's like tired. Drew does manage to position his lone physical attacker, but it's not quite enough to KO the Florges, so how are they gonna get out of this jam?
Stall has been nerfed in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
White women held back by society once again. And despite Ronin Toten's very unfortunate once per duel errata, the bondless Greninja is, through sheer gumption alone, still able to sweep the rest of Chloe's team with its mostly flaccid water shuriken. Sparse's Tallahassee Tsuchinokos versus Liberslaw's Charlotte Shenotix. Slaw drafted a very efficient Volturn core with Mega Manectric, Swampert, and Cinderace, with the payoff being Aegislash or Tropius. Taking the chip from failing to kill the Tropius does mean that Dragonite can't set up on the Aegislash here, and this Tauros switch looks so bad. But I think it's because I really stressed the idea of Head Smash Aegislash on Sparse while we were doing preps for this week, because that's just 100% what I would have brought. Sorry, pal. Maybe you should have sought guidance from someone who's at least top 25 in Revcord Draft League. And everyone please quickly mire the fact that Slaw does the thing and gets the super effective close combat on the Mandibuzz Roost. It didn't actually do anything because the Aegislash was intimidated and knocked off, but that text box sure said it was super effective. There's no two ways about it. Sparse told me that when he drafted Magmortar, he just assumed that it learned Grass Knot, and it definitely does not, so this was the best thing he could come up with to do to the Swampert. Where was the Power Herb Solar Beam? Come on. Also, I just think it's kind of funny that this Mega Manectric gets intimidated twice, once by the Tauros and again by the Traced Intimidate from the Gardevoir. This is the most frightened dog. Please, someone, give him a belly rub and tell him it'll be okay. This is a pretty fantastic Healing Wish into the Dragonite, and it looks like it'll just be able to clean up this team, but not if the Sash Ninetales kills itself in front of them, to change their bond and forever alter the trajectory of their lives. Incredible payoff for the Court Change Cinderace. Sparse tries to mulligan by sacking the Mandibuzz and then trying to set up on the Manectric again with Dragonite, but it's still faster than the Dragonite, even at +1. Oh my god, such a good boy, so talented. Bows 1 Nurgers, Big Bug Bruisers versus Cat's team. So I wanted Dugtrio banned, much to the consternation of Dawn, who said that Dugtrio is probably fine in draft. But I didn't want to fucking deal with it, and I'm the big cheese, so guess which one we went with. However, Bowser Jr. lobbied very adamantly for Trapinch to be legal, and honestly, they were cooking. It's truly a shame that Cat's Entei's cataracts caused it to become just another statistic in Trapinch's shockingly good KD this draft, but do not cry for him, because all it takes is one turn for Feraligatr late game to start making just some of the best numbers I've ever seen in my life. Are you telling me that even Grassy Seed Strength Sap Driftblim isn't enough? My lord, this is a powerful foe indeed.
You are now the original Gator hater.
Pios's Carolina Cresselias versus Dawn's Lily Cove Wikipedias. I would like to quickly thank Dawn for scheduling 26 fucking people and helping to keep the spreadsheet updated and de facto TOing and generally being helpful and answering people's questions so I can just smoke weed and read Wikipedia pages for animals all day. Dawn drafted good stuff with the bulky duo of Mesprite and Porygon 2, who both have pivot moves to bring in the threats. Threats such as
He's the guy who's the talk of the town.
Iron Tail? What? Hey Dust, you forgot to draft one of the Paradox Pokemon. However, despite being on the back foot for pretty much the entire game, it turns out that Pios just has to position Gallade and click Agility exactly once, and it proceeds to pick up 5 kills in 6 turns, notably not totally beefing it against the Quagsire Scald. Gengar does get the cursed body at the end though, so theoretically it could have clutched it.
Oh, barnacles, I hate the pill.
Sparse's Tallahassee Suchi Nokos versus Dust's Hedge Fund Haunters. Sparse also drafted good stuff. My dude basically drafted like a Gen 7 OU team. He got Mega Slowbro, Mandibuzz, Dragonite, Excadrill, Magnezone, and Mimikyu. What the fuck? Nobody told me I could have drafted 12 Pokemon that actually do tasks, and not 11 setup sweepers and the thing that evolves into Hatterene. Anyway, Dust decides to just kind of throw their Iron Jugulus away to the Gardevoir, which is not fantastic, especially because they didn't EV their Iron Moth to get the speed boost from Quark Drive. So after Sparse's Excadrill gets a speed boost with Rapid Spin, it kind of just kills every Pokemon on their team. Every Pokemon except for Iron Hands, of course, because I'm not convinced that there's a single fucking Pokemon in the game that can beat Iron Hands 1v1. Luckily for Sparse, he does still have the anti-offense mon of all time, Mimikyu, but just look at these ripe couple of turns.
Wait a minute, you've got burns? That is so amazing. I've got burns too, look.
So it is Trick Flame Orb, or at least it was supposed to be Trick Flame Orb, but Sparse, I'm gonna break our confidentiality here real quick. He gave it Trick Room instead of Trick in the team builder. Also, the Iron Moth Sludge Wave does just enough for it to die to the burn instead, so that Destiny Bond doesn't kill the Iron Moth. It's not looking great, but oh yeah, Sparse remembers that he has Dragonite, which also counter teams HO. And then sets up with that and wins with that, which he could have done about 6 turns ago and saved me some emotional fucking turmoil. Darkix's Primal Preds versus Dawn's Lilycove Wikipedias. Game 1, Darkix leads Sneasler because Sneasler just happens to kill every single fucking Pokemon that Dawn has. They didn't even draft that badly, just like, what do you do? Like, yeah, beat this Pokemon that's basically Mega Lopunny, but it can hold an item and it has a TCG attack for a signature move. But don't let the fact that Darkix drafted the best Hisuian Pokemon distract you from the fact that she also drafted the second best Hisuian Pokemon. Ursaluna does a quick 93% to Iron Treads even through the Shucca Berry, and then it just dies to the future sight. And Sneasler proceeds to, of course, kill the Quagsire with a crit that probably didn't matter because it does 59% minimum, and also Oko the fucking Haxorus. And then Ursaluna could have beaten the rest of this team, but Darkix plays for the deferential and switches into Registeel just in case Heliolisk used Surf. Gamer detected. Game 2, Dawn does find a pretty huge setup opportunity with Dragon Dance Haxorus against the Registeel, but Moltres forces it to lock into Outrage, and the +1 Outrage is not enough for Mama Bear. Christ. Mama Bear don't fuck around. And with the Haxorus out of the way, Sneasler can proceed to, you guessed it, click Close Combat. Easy, 62% to Quagsire. Good lord. I love Twink Urshifu. Goblins Fighting Game Likers versus Parking Lot Mosh's Glalie Angels. Parking Lot Mosh drafted the ultimate value pick, Como-O. I don't actually remember what tier we put Como-O in, but I have full confidence that it was a value pick in whatever tier it was. I should have drafted it. I could have consolidated like 4 setup sweepers into one. And then still not draft any utility Pokemon, just have a theoretical, like, 17 setup sweepers. Como-O looks like it's in position to steal the game right here, but it does lose the sub to Future Sight, and then gets absolutely bamboozled by the Hisuian Zoroark. Illusion Regenerator is always fun, but this is extra funny because the real Tangrowth was fucking frozen. That's okay, Mosh. My apartment has a carbon monoxide leak, too. At the end of the game, Nidoking does put a lot of pressure on Goblin's team until he is finally able to revenge kill it with the Hisuian Zoroark. And with these two Pokemon, how do you think Mosh is going to end this game? Send in your bets. Place your votes. Sucker Punch Celebi. Fractal Magpies Sevi Island Smolives versus Wabussi's Sumaru City Spidops. Fractal Magpie drafted a Dragon Fairy Steel Core and Landorus Therian and a bunch of win conditions, and Wabussi drafted Wugtrio. He does follow recommended Yuxi failsafe protocol by going for Sucker Punch Wugtrio into, of course, the Destiny Bond Ceruledge. He's just playing it by the book. Fractal Magpie continues to employ a very green numbers-centric strategy with hopeful setup attempts from the Masquerain and then the Sylveon. However, both are successfully stymied by the combination of Togekiss and Glamora, with much skill. Glamora's presence does bring out the Landorus Therian. This is a pretty good switch into Gardevoir, but I am a little disappointed that he didn't give it Trace to trace the Intimidate on the switch in. I'll let it slide this time, but you're on thin fucking ice, I'll tell you that much. Everyone made fun of Wabussi for putting Moonblast instead of Hyper Voice on Mega Gardevoir, but he did get the special attack drop on the Volcanion, so what's it gonna do now? Oh yes, of course, how could I forget? Reverend's Kingsport Kaijus versus Chloe's Manitoba Mousehold. So the first several turns of this game might just be the darkest point of my life. This is how I found out what Kleavor's move did, by the way, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, yep, that's definitely a move that's gonna get banned from some other metagames. This is also the worst parting shot of my career. That was so 0 IQ. Obviously, she's just going to U-turn there 100% of the time. But looks like for some reason she U-turned into her Pokemon that's definitely gonna click Earthquake or U-turn. Wow, how embarrassing for her.
Fireball.
Every single turn using Earthworm this draft has been like thinking I'm gonna drink a bottle of Dr. Pepper and instead just getting a mouthful of Dad's dip. I proceed to get my Mega Gyarados blowed up and then punched at incredible high speed by Hitmontop. I do get the Flame Body burn on the Assault Vest Kleavor I couldn't kill with Volcarona, which lets me set up with Bibarel, but it's still not enough to not also get whooped by the fucking Hitmontop, who proceeds to out-priority the Grimmsnarl and break every single hollow bone in Moltres Galar's fucking body. Everyone says there's no tops in Revcord, but you're looking right at him. And now, of course, it is time for annoying Pokemon dying or otherwise getting whooped in funny ways. In this game, Torrent's Mega Houndoom gets to +2 in Sun and absolutely erases Ting-Lu even through Light Screen. Very cool. In this game, Magnus XL establishes a threatening position with Salazzle early on. However, once the moveset is revealed to be Sub-Toxic Protect Encore, CCCC merely has to use her double Regenerator Core and infinitely switch between them to stall the Salazzle's PP, preventing it from making any more progress. Wow, she's really using her gamer mind. Here, Drew uses a quick pivot with their Pelipper to position the Venusaur and, in an attempt to take advantage of Camille's Lantern's perceived passivity, goes for a double switch into Barraskewda. But just look at the read with Scarffold switch. Sensation. The fish was delish, and it made quite a dish. In this game, Ink's Klefki manages to amass a plethora of boosts, boosting to +6 defense with Iron Defense, and +2 special attack and special defense with Calm Mind, bolstered by the priority recovery afforded by prankster Chesto Resto. It looks like Klefki is going to manage a valiant last stand against Pink Milk's team, however, it is no match for the Final Gambit Annihilate. Wow. Powerful stuff. Here, Secret Seller's Alomomola has been preventing Bowser Jr. from making much progress with her Buzzwole, Mamoswine, or Bisharp. However, after trying to call out the Araquanid Toxic with Magic Coat, it finds itself in a terrible position, getting Infestation instead. And now, we can watch it die slowly, and it hurts the whole time. Just fantastic.
Great job.
Camille's California Clefas versus Goblin's fighting game likers. Goblin is notoriously the resident Revcord zoner player and stall enjoyer, and Camille drafted Clefable, Mega Sableye, and Clodsire. Goblin has absolutely zero counterplay to the belle of the ball, the round 1 first picked Pokemon, Clefable, and this battle is 68 turns long, and knockoff is clicked 24 times. Coincidentally, that's also how many times I took a bong rip while having to watch this one during the watch party.
Not even stall. I have 2 Scarfers and an Alakazam.
Pink Milk's Caledonia Clefairies versus Pios's Carolina Cresselias. So I really like the way Pink Milk starts this game, for just a lot of reasons. Let's go. Can we see that again, actually? Oh yeah, just put it in my veins. Pios does quickly recover some momentum by getting back-to-back boosts, boys, with the Mega Diancie Diamond Storm. The defense lets it easily survive the Zeraora Iron Tail, but of course Durant secures the KO with Iron Head, because she fights for the colony. I think it's funny that when someone's Mega has a 4x weakness, the other team is basically guaranteed to have moves of that type on like 4 of their Pokemon. But it turns out, really all it takes is 1 Trick Room from Sigilif and a quick little Marowak sack, and Melmetal finds itself with exactly as many Trick Room turns as it needs to rend the rest of this team in twain. Sure were a hell of a lot of steel moves clicked this game, which is appropriate, because as we all know, Melmetal will steal your heart. I miss you, big guy. Please come back to OU when you're done doing your charity work for those jungle children. Our friends Electric's Coumarine Chinglings versus Reverend's Kingsport Kaijus. I brought anti-lead Lycanroc to this battle because they had Drudagon, and I was really scared of the Mold Breaker rocks since I didn't actually draft any hazard removal. I only drafted Hattrem. Also, they totally forgot to put Speed Boost on their Mega Sharpedo. Let the record show I offered to let them mulligan and restart this game, and they declined. I really wish they had, because it would have made the result of this battle much less embarrassing for me. The weakness policy Rhyperior of course eats the Golurk Earthquake and the Mega Sharpedo Liquidation behind Reflect, and I have to use Rock Polish twice to be faster than Scarf Terrakion. Obviously, I should have used it a third time against the Illumise, but I was really scared of it just encoring me into it. I think I might have been able to win this game if I didn't get the yellow color on Moltres Galar here, but honestly, it's totally reasonable that Moltres Galar could have just fucking blown it anyway, because this Pokemon fucking sucks. This is the worst Pokemon I drafted. Moltres Galar is not nearly as good as Bibarel. Also, keen-eyed gamers might notice that this Grimmsnarl doesn't actually have Priority Reflect. That's because I gave it Pickpocket, because our friend's Electric had Tapu Lele, and it like 6-0'd me, but they didn't even fucking bring it. I also had Rosalie Berry on the Moltres Galar, by the way. I've come to accept that true geniuses are not appreciated in their time, but I do think that future generations will give me the respect I deserve for what I was cooking. Also, I just fucking blow it against this Skeledirge. I do not play around this well at all. I kept taunting it because I thought it was going to Will-O-Wisp me, but I should have realized after it used Substitute that it was probably going to have 2 attacks and not Will-O-Wisp. Even if I did kill it, I probably would have just gotten killed by the fucking Scarf Rotom anyway. But hey, I didn't get 5-0'd this time. That Most Improved award is fucking mine. Fractal Magpies, Sevi Island Smolives versus Wario Land 4's Wario Muscles. 4's Hippowdon is quite a roadblock to a lot of Magpie's Pokemon, so let's see how they deal with it. Balloon, Sunny Day, Solar Beam, 89%? Oh my god. That is by far the most creative way I've ever seen to not kill a Hippowdon. 4 proceeds to bring their Cottony in safely after a sack to the Gallade, which facilitates a quick little Tailwind pop-off from Mega Medicham, who outspeeds the Masquerain and then picks up the kill on Poltegeist with priority after the Tailwind is over? Now this is gaming. Magpie does maintain momentum with their Crobat and perpetually unmega'd Gallade. As far as the government is concerned, this is a Mega Gallade. I just didn't do the rule that a lot of people do in Draft League that you have to Mega your Mega Pokemon immediately. Because I think it's, like, fucking dumb. And it's definitely not just because I drafted Mega Gyarados. Weavile is a threat, but maybe if you switch in the Rocky Helmet Cobalion, you can put a bunch of fucking words on the screen and maybe they won't notice. Gee, I thought I was done reading Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards for a while, am I right? By the way, I'm really glad that Wario Land 4 uses the Petrel avatar, because it means maybe I can trick people into thinking that I won a single fucking game. Reverend's Kingsport Kaijus versus Magnus XL's questionable Quagsires. This battle's pretty cool because I get to spend the first like 15 turns of it with Salazzle pissing and shitting on me from the same hole.
You've tainted, you've ruined the whole thing for me because I knew the answers, and I'm on TV now, and everybody now is gonna think that I'm a fake, and you know how important this was for me. It's a mistake. It was a huge mistake. You fucked this all up.
Salazzle is such an insane budget pick, actually. I feel like it just beats like more than half the Pokemon in the game. Actually, every time I look at Magnus's whole team, I'm like, you drafted only good Pokemon. How did you do it? He actually drafted the Gen 6 OU Gamer Core of Charizard Y and Tyranitar, with Venusaur to actually take advantage of the sun. The Venusaur does give me a light screen opportunity, but honestly, that light screen was purely detrimental to me, because all it did was make me think that I could survive this fucking Earth Power for some reason. Christ. I know I should stop eating paint chips, but you really can't get that texture anywhere else. At least that was the last turn of Sun, so with no Weather Ball to worry about, Earthworm manages its first and only successful shed tail of my entire draft. It turns out when you draft Earthworm, people just don't bring the Pokemon that lose in one turn to Earthworm. Wow. I really can't believe the people who would join a Discord server for the 17th most popular Smoggin YouTuber would be a bunch of fucking tryhards. And the sub doesn't even really help me because Magnus has the threat, Jump Fluff, and he's breaching the perimeter. And that Strength Staff seals my fate, because now there's no way I'm gonna be able to kill the Conch Elder. I don't even have Swords Dance on Lucario. Not that it mattered, because I would have just expected them to encore me into it after I did it, but I did have Swords Dance on it up until like 5 minutes before I played this game. And I hastily switched it to Sash Rock Tomb to try to counterlead the Charizard Y. And then noticed that incidentally Magnus had just posted in chat, like, yeah, I've played a couple of draft leagues, and I always draft Charizard Y, and people always end up putting random rock moves on Pokemon. And I just had to be like, oh, really? You don't say. Flungus's Universal Unicyclists versus Ink's Sockeye Station Scrappers. I really like this couple of turns where they both use their Steel Fairy type to Thunderwave each other and then set up entry hazards against each other. So many divisions in society when we really are more alike than we are different. The hazards are definitely way worse for Flungus than they are for Ink though, because Ink busts out the fucking lagging tail, dig, copycat, Grafai. Flungus does still have a ground immunity, but Ink can easily just PP stall that, because the Miss Magius is Choice Scarfed, and Copycat has 32 PP. Let's fucking go. Ink, you have the heart of a Gen 1 Ubers player. So, just between you and me, off the record, off the Revcord, this isn't a Smogon Clause that we just forgot about, is it?
And then he wins with Rillaboom.
Goblins fighting game likers versus CCCC's DC and DDs. So the literal first thing that happens in this battle is CCCC tricking a Choice Specs onto Garganacl, but she may as well have done nothing because it's a Garganacl, so it was just gonna click Salt Cure the whole time anyway. I also think it's funny when Goblin gets a free switch into Mega Aggron on the Tornadus, and Seas brings out the Mega Garchomp, and we have a Kaiju battle, and Mega Aggron, of course, clutches it with Power-Up Punch Outrage. Oh my god. Showdown is Goblin's canvas. But enough fucking around, okay? The reason you're here is because at the end of this game, Seas plays this game of grab-ass against the Slowbro perfectly, killing it on the final turn of Trick Room and dying to Future Sight so that she gets the optimal momentum into Darmanitan, taking the Healing Wish that she used with Indeedee like 12 turns ago, and of course clicking fucking Belly Drum.
And this is to go even further beyond!
She definitely expected Goblin to switch into like Garganacl or something, but he does stay in, but oh my god, you better call the HOA. Because that's a bad fucking hedge. And then, with more numbers than I could even possibly conceive, Darmanitan just makes the magic happen for the next, like, 5 turns. Oh my god, it's a Nixon sweep. You can't lick the dick. Incredible. Hey, I've made the executive decision that CCCC wins Revcord Draft League. We don't have to do the rest of this anymore.